Hi, in this video we learn about object-oriented programming OOP concepts in Java. So we'll discuss more about pros and cons of why we bring that object-oriented programming over the remote procedures programming. And I'm assuming you have already installed that Windows, or you have a Windows with you, Eclipse downloaded and installed, and Java JDK for Java and Java compiler, runtime and compiler you have already configured with you. So I have a Windows, I have a Eclipse already with me, and I have already installed that Java. For verification purpose, I'll just check one more time. I have installed JDK 1.7.0.0_25, and Java compiler is also same version. Now these are my assumptions. We are going to cover object-oriented programming concept, and this will be published in http://www.tutorialbyexample.com. What topic we are going to cover now? I'll put this all down all the way. So what topic now we are going to cover in object-oriented programming OOPS concept? In Java, first thing we'll discuss about what is class, what is object, what is encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, and code with a code example. So as per my understanding, class is nothing but a state plus behavior. So a state is nothing but what it's going to be do and how it is going to behave. That is known as a class with a set of attributes and their functionality. And object is a instance of a class. That is by definitions as per the several books and published in the net as well with Sun Java or Oracle websites. We'll discuss one by one in details. So first I'm going to discuss more about class. Before going ahead, we'll see some procedure programming language. Why you bring that object-oriented programming over there. So we have a procedure programming language where we have a structure like a C, and over there we write that a structure, we write that a functions outside that class, and we are unable to identify that if that same class is there in some same function is there in some other class, and we'll write the code in a structure, and entire variable is like a global variable. So memory allocations, deallocations, that is very hard if you miss that writing that like in proper place to implement it or do that allocations and deallocations of a memory. But in object-oriented programming, whatever set of things is required, we'll put all together and we'll put that in a function. We have a global variable, local variable, and all those variable where we required and their access is specified. With help of that we can access that whenever it required. And automatic garbage collections, and we have we remove that pointer concepts and all. Over here also we are storing the data in a stack and heap, but the allocations and deallocations happen with help of automatic garbage collections, or at the time of writing the better program, we delocate that allocated memory once that is not required. So that is all about in comparison between procedure programming and object oriented. Now we'll discuss one by one like our agenda, like a class, object, encapsulations, abstractions, polymorphism, inheritance, one by one example. So class is nothing but a state plus behavior. Object is instance of a class. I'm going to first cover that all four in one single example, like a class, object, encapsulations. Encapsulations is nothing but binding all together, and abstractions is hiding with the implementer. So it's a state that there is nothing is required to show everything to like who is going to use. Like whatever is required, we have to just visible, or we have to just ask them to like implement this method and pass these are the parameter. You will get that output like that. But bringing that output might be there is several methods is required to implement it, and which is not necessary to highlight or like share with that end user who is using that functions. So first four things we'll discuss in a single example. I have created one Java project in Eclipse by file new Java project. In that windows I have just typed that object oriented programming object oriented programming OOP concept in Java. After that we have to click finish. Just I have already created, and after the creations you will be find that src folder and jre folder. You have to just right click on src folder, go to new, click on the class, type that package name new, then class, type the package name class object dot abstraction dot encapsulation dot tutorial by example.com. Name of the class in caps cls calculator dot java, and click on finish. You will be see that like this. Then you have to type that code likewise. So by default it will package name, class name, and this is nothing but a default constructor. We'll discuss one in details, and we have to type that only one method where public int addition, while passing the int parameter 1, int parameter 2, and then we have to declare one local variable as a add result, and we have to plus it parameter 1 plus parameter 2. And after that we have implemented one private method which is nothing but a private void private int arg1 int arg2 int arg add, and I'm just printing on the console while printing that what is that parameter, like a parameter 1, argument 1, and argument 3rd. So actually instead of putting the variable name over argument, we have to put that a parameter, which will be like a better, because as of now we're just passing the parameter, but at the time of implementations or anyhow that's fine, no problem. So there is one private method print is there, which is going to be print that whatever's value is there in parameter 1, parameter 2 and result, and after that I'm returning that additions of a parameter 1 and parameter 2. This is that one a small example. I have put that in simple like a calculator. So we understand this is nothing but a CLS calculator, which represent a class. In this class we have a set of functions, like this is the default constructor which is method, and another one we have a additions method, and third we have print method where we are just printing that value in console, like a parameter 1, parameter 2, and additions of a parameter n, parameter 1 and parameter 2. Now with so as per like our definitions in encapsulation, that is a class is a state plus behavior. We got that a state and behavior all together, and that is known as a encapsulations, just binding all together in a single class, which is nothing but a CLS calculator. So inside that we have all these are the like a method, and we can declare that some variable like in any variable, but as of now for calculator not required. Otherwise you can declare a variable. We can generate the setter and getter like a Pojo, Java Pojo. We'll discuss in later. Okay, so this is the class first, and in class we are all together, we are putting all together in a single unit, that is known as encapsulation. How have that is a encapsulation. So we cover that a class encapsulations. What is abstractions in this class? So in this class, if you'll see that for end user we have a addition method where we have passed that int parameter 1 and int parameter 2, and internally we have one result method, we have one print method for printing that other purpose, and just we are getting the parameter 1 and parameter 2 and add result and returning it. For end user we'll just share that like a public int additions, he has to just call that add method, and he has to pass that a parameter 1 and parameter 2. He will not take care about that what the print method is doing, how the business logic is written, what I have to do for that. Nothing is required. That is nothing but a abstractions. We'll see once we'll see that in a implementations class. So this is that a class. This is these are the all units of a code is encapsulations in binding in all together, and that abstractions is hiding that implementations part, how it's implemented inside in this method. End user will be not aware about it, and we are not going to highlight them what he has to do for this. So now we'll see that a object. We already, as per definitions, object is a instance of a class. So we have a one class called calculator. So this class, again we have a class name is a main app of calculator, where we'll just print that create that one constructor, will create the object and call that object for end user point of view or perspective. So in this class we have a two method, like one default constructor and second one a public statics void main string argument. So this is that entry point for like invoking the method. And if you're not aware about that what is public statics void main, so this is nothing but a public, it is a modifier, statics is a keyword, void is a data type, nothing like no return type, main is the name of a method, a string is the data type, just a string as a array as a string, and we have just called that another class like our main class CLS calculator, creating the object of a calculator. Creating the object of a calculator, and by with help of a new. So whenever you will put that new, that will be instance will be created. So this is the class which once we are initiating, and it will storing that object. With help of this object we will able to identify what is there in that class. So we have one addition method, we have a these are the additionals method which is the part of object class. We'll see in a later time. By default every class is in a small by default every class is extending that object class internally. So these are the method will be by default available whenever we'll create any class. And we got that our user defined method addition, where we have to pass int parameter 1, int parameter 2, and it will be returned as a int. So with help of that end user point of view, we are just aware about that add method, and we are unable to see that what is there in print, how we are storing the result in an integer value and returning it. Nothing is required, so we just hide it, and all those implementations inside that additions method, this is nothing but abstraction. Now, and this is nothing but creating the object with a new class, that is a object creations instance of a class, and we have a three more method for initiating the class and like object creations, but as of now we are targeting for this one's new keyword and object creations. If I'll invoke this one or run this Java applications by right click on this code, run as Java applications, we'll see output 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So what we have written, that our in business logic, just we create that integer data type, local variable name add result, and we are just adding the parameter 1 plus, like parameter 1 plus parameter 2, and after that just we are printing what is the parameter value of 1, what is parameter value of a 2, and what is the parameter value of a result after parameter 1 plus parameter 2, and we are returning. So with help of this print method we are getting that output, and that is implemented in another private method which is privately, and that will be there for only this class. In this method will be even though not accessible, and so with help of this private keyword just we are hiding this. So we can say this is the private, public, protected, and default modifier. We have a for modifier, we'll see in later sections how it will work. So this is all together first four topic, like a class, object, encapsulations, abstractions, and their code example. Now we'll see in little bit more advance of this class itself, and with help of other property. We'll see polymorphism. So again, polymorphism like a same thing with a different behavior. So we have a polymorphism two type, like overloading and overriding. Overloading, that will be happen in a base like a same class with help of and like same method name, and but might be return type and parameter will be different data type, and it will also called as a static binding. Otherwise it will be in compile time itself, it will throw that exceptions, like code will be not compile. And second one we have overriding, which is dynamic binding. Everything will be happen at the runtime. Before runtime, even though method is like a caller is not like able to identify which things we are going to run, but at the time of passing the parameter and invocations and creations of an object, it will be identify we are going to call which method. So we'll see that in more details by code example. So in polymorphism, I'm just in head like using that same class and little bit more like added that more functionality. And over here also we have just class 1. So we'll see that method overloading first. In method overloading, what we have, like a polymorphism part 1, we have a method overloading. So in overloading concept, just what we have to do, we have to check that there is a name of a method. The name of a method will be remaining same. If you'll see that in like in and additions, public int additions, public float addition, and we can write that other data type as well. which will be work for that. So we'll see that a method overloading. First we use that public int addition, int parameter 1, int parameter 2, and we are just adding that parameter, storing result, printing and returning. Second one, we just get that a float instead of int data type, like additions, float parameter 1, parameter 2, float result parameter 1, parameter 2, printing the parameter value and return. And there is a print method implementations for integer and float. So over here we got a two method with the same name, but the data type is remaining different. So this is called a method overloading. We'll go in a main app method. And for method overloading, just we have to care about that this is base class output only, and just avoid that any below one, and like and till over here we have to consider. That's it. We can say that base class output. And because I have implemented overloading and overriding concept in same class, so it may be a little bit confusing, but what we have to consider, just to consider over here itself. So at the time of just we have to same thing, we have to create that object of that calculator class, and we have to initiate with that class. The object will be created. The calculator with help of that object will identify either we are going to use that integer value or we are going to put that a float value. If we pass that other than integer or float, it will be throw that exception and it will be not allow. So this is nothing but a method overloading. We'll see that in method overriding now concept. So and that will be happen in the same class, but in a method overriding we have a concept called base class and subclass. So in other terminology, they will also say that a parent class and child class and a super class and subclass as well. But I will suggest that just use the base class and subclass, which is like best suited for like an object oriented programming concept. And because if you'll say that a parent class and child class, so they will say that parent class have more functionality compared to child, but for me the child have a more functionality compared to the parent, because whatever parent class they have in the child, but some additional method is there. So I'll say that just use that a base class and subclass instead of other terminology. So I have just created class CLS calculator, which is nothing but a base class, which once I have a two method, public int add, int parameter 1, int parameter 2, public float additions, float parameter 1, parameter 2. And in advanced calculator, just we implemented, which is nothing but a base class as a subclass, which is extending that base class, like a public class, name of the class extends calculator class, which is like a parent or base class or super class, we can say that for advanced calculator. So for this we have a same method, like a public int additions in parameter 1 in parameter 2, and same method we are using, and float also same method we are using, and we have a print method and a print method for float. So but we are not sure which ones we are going to implement. That will be decided at the time of a calling. We are calling that like a subclass or super class. So this is that a calling method of a base class we have already discussed. Now while calling to that subclass, what we have to do, we have to just take that a parent class first, name of the parent class, object of a child class, and we have to initiate the child class. If with help of that initiations, it will be decide now we are going to call like a child class method instead of a parent class, and with help of a parent one will be override by the like a child class, and it will print that a child class. So in this we have just mentioned that something additionals in print, which is nothing but just I have added that system output and subclass output and subclass output in a float, which is not there in a, if you'll see, in a parent class only printing that argument and their value. So if I'll run this class now with a overriding concept, we'll see first it's printed for base class method overloading concept, and in second one, which is nothing but this highlighted one, it's printing that a result of appending that a subclass output, and the output is remaining same because same implement we are business logic. I have just copy and paste it. It may be the business logic will be differ in a subclass, and we can with help of a same method name might be we are just adding that some additional. You'll see, suppose in this class I want to add that in parameter 1 plus itna plus 100 I have just added 100 in float and integer. Now we are getting that 1 plus 1 plus 100 is 102, 100 plus 100 is 300.2. so I just changed that a business implement logic, and we are just calling that. So at the runtime we are deciding after the creations of an object which method we are going to call, and this is the way of method overloading, and this is the way for method overriding in same method with a different parameter and data type. Now we covered that a polymorphism concept like method overloading and method overriding, or function overloading, function overriding. The next topic we have to cover that inheritance, which is nothing but is a relationship like single inheritance, multiple inheritance. So multiple level of inheritance, even the multiple inheritance is not supported. We have just implementations like with help of interface and implement keyword, but multi-level inheritance will be not supported as far as I know. Multi-level inheritance is there, but multiple inheritance is not. We can implement it with a interface and abstract class. So we'll see that what is a relationship. Suppose for example we'll say that building is a house, whereas we can say that our calculator is our advanced calculator is type of a calculator. For our example, we have like one CLS calculator and advanced calculator. So we can say that a CLS calculator, advanced calculator is type of a calculator. So for implementing this, we implement like this one. So this is the nothing but a parent class where calculator, and this is the nothing but advanced calculator. So we can say that advanced calculator is a calculator, or we can say that a simple calculator is a calculator. So that will be noted by that with help of is a relationship. We have a has a relationship as well, which is known as a composition. So there is a difference between there in like inheritance and compositions. Inheritance is a relationship, whereas compositions has a, we can say that a building has a house is a building, and house is a building, whereas house has a bathroom. So with help of a compositions, and that will be preferable to implementations as well. We'll see in later. So now we'll go ahead with a inheritance example. So for inheritance also I have just used the same thing. I'll remove the copy because I'll just do that a copy paste, and it's still there. Okay, so in inheritance, what we have, like a same class, we have a calculator one base class. Over here also like a base class, and subclass is required for inheritance purpose also. So in inheritance we have a public class calculator where we have a addition method, additions float method, and there two print method is there. Now same method what we use that in a earlier program as well. We have a advanced calculator where we have a additionals method. We are just extending the public class advanced calculator extend calculator, and we have a additional method as a public string additions, which is nothing but earlier in base super class or base class we have a int float. Over here we have everything in a string, just we are adding the parameter with as treating as a string, and we have a one print method for that supporting string classes. So now all together we have a additions method for 3 data types supported, like one for integer, one for float, and third one for double. So and with help of that in advanced calculator, now we'll get that a 3 method, two from like a class calculator and one from that a string. So inheritance also use code reusability. So for example, we have already written the two methods in class calculator, and with help of extend only we are we achieving this two method in the advanced calculator. Nothing is required to do over here, and we have written that additions method over here. And suppose if someone will be extend that my class advanced calculator, then he will call that he will be having the 3 method. One is integer add, string add, and float add, and might be he will implement some other method as well. So now we'll see that how to create that object of inheritance. So first we have, like in base class, simple, we have created class calculator and object of that calculator, and we have a 2 method over here. So over here if I'll paste the dot, and we are just getting 2 method, additions float and integer, and there is a supporting object class. So this is nothing but a base class output. In subclass we got that base class name and object of a subclass. Over here we'll get that again 2 in base class also, and like in it's restricting the type related to that super class. We have only 2 method. Over here we have a 3, but we cannot use that all 3. It's on because that third method will not available here. So whatever's there over here, we only can, it will be restricted by that this class, and we will get that only. Now we are getting that a true method because it's a binding between the base class and subclass. So but in that, if you say that it's subclass itself, I'm not doing we are just going that creating the object of a subclass and instance of a subclass as well. Over here we'll get that a 3 method, like additions float, addition int, additions string parameter, and we with help of that additions integer float and string will get the output, and this is called that inheritance. If you'll say that right click and run as Java application, we'll get that this is the output of a base class, this is the output of a subclass while creating the instance of a subclass object, or creating the object of a subclass, and the, casting up with a class base class, where as subclass base class plus subclass output start from here, which is nothing but third all object and their data type, like an object creations type is it like a subclass itself. So we'll get a 3 method. So this is that altogether inheritance, and we have implemented this by extend keyword. We have another way as well. to implement an interface and an abstract class, which is more preferable compared to extending the class and the inheritance in real time world. So what we have to do, just we have to create one interface, writing that method in that only declarations part in that interface, and after that in actual implementations we have to implement it. That will be overloading, overriding, and the inheritance will be more like visible, and work on that approach. So this is all about that class, object, abstractions, encapsulations, inheritance, polymorphism. I'm just recapping what we already covered with that. Class is a state plus behavior, object is an instance of a class, encapsulations is binding all together, abstractions is hiding with implementer, polymorphism we have a two category, overloading also known as a static binding, overriding we have a dynamic binding, inheritance is a relationship, single inheritance, multiple level inheritance, and we discuss about has a relationship with a like example, and all this like a textual informations you can find from my website. www.tutorialbyexample.com. In Java section I have written that object-oriented programming concept, or you can just come all the way down over here, you will find that a Java, over all Java related topic will be there, and video will be uploaded in a video section like object-oriented programming concept with a label and video, and you can see that video in YouTube as well. And last most things we have to think about. If you have anything, any questions, please comment on that my website. I'll be more than happy to discuss and answer your questions. Thanks for watching my video. Please like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe it on www.tutorialbyexample.com and YouTube.